Welcome back to the Grassroots Gravel Event Series. Tonight, I'm talking to the promoters of Rage Against the Chainring down in Wichita, Kansas. I think you'll really enjoy what they have to talk about in this great local event that more people should come out and enjoy. As always, if you like what you see, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, share it, and give us some comments and let us know what you think. Now, on with the show.
Well, tonight I've got Josh Sears with Rage Against the Chainring. There to his left, in that empty picture, you'll see his promoting partner, Mark Moerner, who is coming in a little MIA for us. But Josh says he's going to be able to talk for him with us. But those two are the promoters of Rage Against the Chainring. So thanks, Josh, for joining me tonight.
Hey, yeah, man, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. So I know you and Mark are the promoters of the event, and Mark owns and runs Apostle Bike Shop there in Wichita, and which is, I believe, is kind of where it all started with starting this event. Tell me a little bit about the history of Rage Against the Chainring and how you guys got this started.
Yeah, sure. It's probably about 7 or 8 years ago we actually started talking about this. When I first met Mark, it was through a mutual friend of ours that kind of started riding a lot of gravel in the community down here, a guy by the name of Dave Ham. And Dave was really good friends with Mark. Man, to be honest with you, it's kind of weird. The first time I kind of caught wind of Mark, I was super intimidated. He's a man of few words, let's just say that. And on top of that, dude's got arm sleeves, bald head, big goatee. I'm like, man, this guy's probably a butthead. But Dave introduced us, and we kind of were kindred spirits in a way. I talked about it a little bit in our one of the recent posts on our Facebook page, but we're polar opposites in a lot of ways, but we see things, we see the end vision being the same. So while we attack things differently, we for sure see kind of the same vision when it comes to, and when we started talking about this event, we definitely decided that, we're two fat men with kids. And so we're looking at all these events that are out there that are these ultra endurance cycling events that are 100-mile distances, 200-mile distances. And I was like, dude, I can't train for that. I don't have time. I've got too many other things going on. And so I told him, I had an old friend that lived by this mantra, and it is, if you want something bad enough, then there's enough other people out there that will want it too, that you should just go for it. And so I was just sitting there talking to Mike, and I was like, or Mark, and I was like, look, we should make this a super easy and attainable event for people like us to come out and do and race. But yet at the same time, we should make it fun and competitive for some of those upper echelon guys, and they can use it as training. And so we're going into the 7th season. And so that was kind of the vision behind it, and that's kind of how it was born. Let's make it simple. Let's get stuff out there to people early. Let's make sure that the event is achievable. And also we kind of built in the granny lap, like we call it sometimes, because it's 25-mile loops. And so we kind of set that up to where it allows for super competitive racing on the top end, but yet on the back end, people can enjoy it and feel that sense of accomplishment at the finish line.
So you talked about the event being 25-mile loops. So this is a 50-mile course, is what you have set up. And you also have it unique in that you have categories and also a series. So talk to us a little bit about how those categories are set up and what that series looks like.
Sure. So, and actually we kind of space it out a little differently this year. We added some categories. So we've got the 4 main categories that we've always had for the geared cyclist on the men's side. And that's category A through category D. And basically the A guys, a lot of that, as I went back and I looked at the descriptions on Bike Reg this year, a lot of the stuff that the A guys are racing, it's a lot of team tactic. tactics. It's a lot of guys that are finishing in top tens at places like Unbound and Mid-South. And so, those guys are super fast, and they're finishing our events with a 20 to 22 mile per hour average at times based on kind of the undulation we have for the courses. And so as that's grown, we initially had the B class and C class below it. B class always ends up being the most popular. I know that's the one that you race and a lot of your teammates from 3 feet. That class is ultra packed. It's always got a lot of guys in it. And so a couple of years ago, we introduced the D class to kind of try to space some of that out. It didn't really work, honestly, but that B class is kind of for that next level guys, seasoned gravel cyclists that do a ton of training, put in a ton of miles every year. And, those guys are finishing those races. I mean, I think some of those, you guys were averaging 18, 19 miles an hour at least. And so, kind of C class fits in right below that. Maybe guys that don't get as much training, but have always been kind of in the cycling, mountain biking, road racing scene and are new to gravel. And then that D class is for guys that, love to get out there, love to be around people and train. So those are the 4 main classes. This year, we actually added a Masters 55 plus. We were seeing a lot of those guys in B class that were kind of at that age range or kind of at that precipice. So we decided that might be a good class to add this year. So we're going that route. And of course, we've got our single speed. And then what's really grown the last couple of years has been our female classes, our women's A class and B class. We're hoping to add more classes to the female side of it. We just have to get the numbers up to the point where we can kind of justify dividing out that group again. And so those are the main classes that we've got in the Rage Against the Chainring series. And then also we've got the tour, which is just a 25-mile loop. So it's just you're riding that loop the one time. And that's more untimed for fun. We've got several teenagers that are already entered into that class this year. So those are the main classes. Now, that said, 2020, I think everybody could agree, was a crazy year. And so I know personally caught up in the minutia of everything that was going on, just constantly feeding into the social media, into the news cycle. And it really started kind of messing with my head. So we did actually introduce an entirely new concept within the Rage series this year. And it's no secret, obviously the name kind of comes from my background and kind of band choices when I was younger. Rage Against the Machine was always one of my favorite bands. And so thus the name of the series. Also, the name of the majority of our races kind of spawn off their songs. They have a song that they did. It's kind of acoustic, where Zach De La Rocha just kind of sings. And it was called A Beautiful World. And I was listening to that song. My wife's, one of her stepbrothers actually posted a link to it on Facebook. And I started thinking about all the crap that everybody's dealt with. And I said, you know what? Grassroots started in a place where not everybody had bike computers, not everybody had, was paying attention to their wattage, paying attention to all this other crap that goes into cycling nowadays. We didn't have virtual trainers. We had cue sheets and a machine. And so with Beautiful World, what our intent is it's a 75-mile race. It's going to be held at each of the Rage series races. It's going to start an hour early. Our races always start at 9. These are going to start at 8. And it's fully unsupported with one stop and drop bag service about halfway through each of the races. And it's a 75-mile event. And you will not be given any details on the course until you pick your cue sheets up, or in the case of COVID, depending on where we're at, they'll be emailed out the night before. But you will not be allowed to use a GPS device for navigation. It's strictly cue sheet. And you'll be given your cue sheets the day of for the first leg of the race. And then when you check in, at the checkpoint, you'll be given your second list of cue sheets. And so it's full 75 miles, unsupported, no GPS navigation, just you, your bike, and a set of cue sheets working through this race and working things out.
Well, that is a little change there for you guys on that. So have you had a lot of people talking about that with you and interested in that?
Yeah, we got a lot of interest. There's some guys out there, you know, I mean, you start thinking about the guys that are going to sign up for that, and there's already 3 guys that are registered. And I was looking through those names, and guys like Gary Owens come up, and I can't off the top of my head think of the others, but I thought, man, this is right up the alley for some of these guys that, you know, have been doing this since the early Flint Hills Death Ride, and have been engaged in this scene kind of from the outset. And I thought this would be a great way to kind of get back to the roots of all of this, and kind of pay homage to that tradition.
Talked about getting the female ridership up. What you guys do anything specific there, or trying to reach out to those different cycling clubs in the Kansas, Oklahoma area to come down and do that event?
Yeah, we tried, and we're going to continue to try to do that. A couple of years ago, we actually ran a huge promotion, and it really did help drive numbers. And we've looked at potentially doing that again in the future. But the whole idea was basically if the women signed up for one race, they got to race the entirety of the series for the cost of one race. So we're trying to put our money where our mouth is on that, you know, trying to make sure that we make it as easily attainable as possible. And honestly, it's done really well. And like I said, it is growing. You know, the unfortunate thing is I think some of the ladies that raced with us early on have just gone on and are doing other things now. And so there's a whole new crew of female riders, it almost seems like, from when we first started the series. And, you know, Mark and I were kind of talking about that the other day, is if everybody would have hung on, and a lot of these ladies, unfortunately, just, like I said, aren't riding bikes anymore, but awesome people. And we just, you know, for whatever reason, the timing of it has kind of meant that the numbers have more or less stayed the same throughout the years. You know, like I said, we were able to increase the class size or increase the class numbers by a couple, but we're working on it. We hope to get there.
Well, hopefully we have some ladies listening today to this video and realize that they need to get down there to Wichita and race a little bit, even if it's just for fun. It's a great course. You talked a little bit about your undulation down there in Wichita, or I may say lack thereof. Talk a little bit about what the I know you have. I should back up a second and say we have 4 courses down there. You change it up every race. So do you mind talking a little bit about each one of the venues that you have this at, and maybe what that course looks like, what the gravel's like? Because, you know, everybody's always curious what the gravel's like, what's the course like as they go along. So I'll let you kind of talk through each one of those 4 courses.
Sure. So this year, and we've kind of done this in the past, we settled on a couple of locations, and, you know, every couple of years we'll maybe take one out and try to add another one. This year, so I want to start by saying, in the past, we've worked with Cheney Lake and the Cheney Lake Association and the game wardens out there, and they have been so integral and gracious into getting this started for us. This year, we are moving away from our Cheney location for the first race of the year, and we're going to be moving out to a town. It's northeast of Wichita a little ways. It's called Valley Center. The community reached out to us, asked us if we would get involved with them. They want to work with us, and so we've ran that course every year for the last 6 years, and this year we just decided, year 7, that we would change that up. And so that course is going to be potentially the most challenging of the courses that we have this year, just because you're starting to get further east and north. So you're not quite on the edge of the Flint Hills, but you're right there. And so that we're excited about. The second race of the year, we always are, for the last couple of years, we've held in Douglas, Kansas. It's one of my favorite races of the year, because that's my backyard. That's a lot of where I spend my time riding when I'm on the bike, is down in that area. And so that course is pretty flat. All of our courses, honestly, are fairly flat. It's got a lot of nice hard packed gravel, and it's got some unique scenery, because you spend some of your time pedaling along the Walnut River, and you spend some time kind of going down into some valleys where there's a lot of farmland. And anyways, you feel pretty isolated out there. At that race, we always have You Hungry food truck come out to supply food for everybody. And Arturo that owns that food truck is awesome. He's got some of the best grub as far as food trucks are concerned around Wichita. And then the third race of the year this year is going to be at Peck, Kansas, at Boudreaux Burger Barn. Again, that course is another fun course. We changed that up last year a little, so we'll probably run a course that's pretty similar in nature to last year's, but that's a lot of fun. It always ends up being a pretty big party. They've got some of the best hamburgers around, so everybody always loves that. And then
I will
the finale.
attest to that one there, Josh. That
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
It was a great recommendation,
Heck
especially
yeah.
after a hard 50 miles.
For sure. Doug and his crew do a really good job. We love those guys, and they've always been very supportive of us. And then the finale, for the first time in a couple of years, is moving back to Stearman Field. And that, honestly, is probably one of my favorite days of cycling in the year. That venue is awesome. The people out there are awesome. It's probably one of the only race, and maybe I'm wrong, I could probably safely say it's the only race that starts and finishes on a taxiway for an airport in the gravel world. And so, last year was kind of wild. It was a nice day because we had to move everything to the summer because of COVID. So I don't know if you ever had the experience, but there were a few guys that kind of had to dodge airplanes as they were pulling out of hangars.
Yeah, and watch the wind coming off the propellers on the backside, because that was a little breezy.
Oh, I bet.
If you weren't paying attention. Get misdirected there, so.
But I think you can attest that location is just awesome. It's a fun place to hang out and be. So.
And I know you really bring in the vibe of not only just the race, but what's going on after the race and the social side of talking and things like that. So talk a little bit about what that looks like for you guys, and what you're looking at doing, and what you would like. I know there's some teams out there that are wanting to come down, I'm sure, and what you kind of have for them.
Yeah, sure. So one of our sponsors from the get-go that jumped on board with us without question, and there's a lot of them, but Walnut River Brewing out of El Dorado, Kansas. BJ Hunt and Rick and his crew and their crew there have always been amazing. They actually own not only the brewery, but a restaurant and tap house here in Wichita called the Pour House. And so they jumped on board, and what we were looking for is we want to create the vibe of, come race your bike hard, test your limits, work on your fitness. You've got, listen, I know we're never going to be the biggest event on the calendar for most people, but come do all that and then just hang out with us, drink free beer till it's gone, have some food, tell some war stories, and just, enjoy yourself, get to know people. I've seen so many friendships that have kind of grown because of our events that it's been incredible. We've gotten to meet some amazing people like you, JP, and a lot of other guys that we would have never had the opportunity to meet. And so that's kind of us. That's our nature. We love to be around people. We love to have fun. I know Mark doesn't always seem like it because you can hardly get him to say 5 words, but that's just us, and that's who we are. And we started this event, and we had kind of two mottos. One of them was just always do the right thing. And it might irritate people sometimes, and not everybody will agree with it, but we've got our values, and so our goal is to always been to not get lost in everything and just do the right thing. And then the other thing that we've always kind of held to is so we told each other when this thing started, day one, that if 25 people showed up, as long as 25 people show up, we're going to keep doing this. And we were saying that, and we get into the first race ever. It was at a church here in Derby First Christian Church. It's now South Rock, but we walked away from that blown away because 105 people, I think, showed up and raced that first event. And so a lot of them were friends already, but I would say probably half of them we've grown to know and love through this series over the years. And so I think that's a lot of it, so you go and do 100 miles at Mid-South, or if you go do 200 miles at Unbound, that's awesome. And I love it. But yet at the same time, you're drained. I mean, there's not a lot left in the tank. And so I think 50 miles lends itself to, you went out and you raced hard, but you've also got the energy to put some time in and to meet new people, making friends. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen at other events, but I'm just saying it gives people the time and the opportunity to be able to invest in each other. And I think we really value that.
Yeah, definitely. And, you see that afterwards. And I'll say at Peck last year, how many people sat around on the deck and
right.
just talked during everything? I know we were doing awards and things like that, but the whole inside of the burger barn was packed. It was full on outside, spaced out. We had some tents up and people were all over and just talking from different teams and everything like that. Actually, Zach Hall was messaging me just a couple days ago to make sure I was signing up for this year. So,
awesome.
That was a friendship that came through racing this last year. So you definitely have that vibe and going, with getting people together, having a good time. Yeah, we want to race, want to have a good time, but it's really about that camaraderie of the gravel community, I think, is what you're really driving there, and done a great job with it. I'll say maybe a little bit on your behalf, and hopefully I'm not over speaking or anything like that, and speak in where you want here, but with that A group, there's not a lot of road racing going on right now. And you guys are being able to pull in some of those, we'll call them roadies, into these events, because this fits into their workouts and into their distance, where they're coming out and racing on that A group, really making that exciting. Like you said, there's some team tactics in there, but you're getting people from all over the area, from Oklahoma through Kansas, Missouri, and really coming in. I think you might have even had some from Arkansas last year, if I remember right, that came in. And so a nice job of bringing folks in from all over that area. But then you've got the other end where, whether it's B, hey, we're big, fat, slow guys, or trying to be fast, some of us. And, then you got guys that are just coming out there for the tour for the day and saying, hey, I'm finishing. You've got one of the guys off the Apostle team that I think he's kind of the local legend down there, but Greg, I mean, he's kind of a story there to say, this is what this is about. Is he got on the bike, started doing these races. He's not at the front, but he is having a great time. He's getting in shape, and he's loving riding the bike, and that's what it's all about, I think.
Yeah. And it's so I'm glad you brought Greg up, because that's the other thing. And I don't want this to sound like hyperbole at all. And I don't think Greg would mind me saying this. Maybe I should verify that with him before you put it out there. But I think he would tell you over the past couple of years, like all of us, there's, we all deal with our ups and downs and our peaks and valleys in life. And I won't go so far as to say that like this saved his life, but I'll tell you what, it gave And that's what I love about our community. And that's why I think we were trying to be so protective of it this past summer, especially with everything that was going on, and just, let's keep all this other crap out of it, and let's live in this vacuum for these couple of hours, because man, I would say that Greg would not hesitate to tell you that this community of people, and the support that he's had, and kind of the love and the outpouring that people have shown him, have really pulled that guy through some stuff. And I tell you what, I love him to death. He is a nut. He eats some of the craziest crap you will ever see anybody eat. And tell you all about it too on his Facebook videos. But man, I would say that is Greg is a perfect example of what we're about, in that we try to make it not all about the bike, to kind of oppose what Armstrong's book was. To us, it's not about that. I know that you can make it about that, and you can come race these races as fast as you want to, but man, hang around and be a part of what happens afterwards, because it's a good time with good people.
Oh, definitely. And I think, Corey from Oklahoma City, that's a great example of someone who Greg has reached out to, has talked to, and he kind of told the story at one of the events, and, gets to talk to him, meet him there a little bit. But Corey, he's a great athlete and cyclist and done very well, but man, that's what gravel's about, is giving back to that community. And he loves doing that and talking to Greg, I think, kind of razzing back and forth. I know I was in the pace line when we passed Greg, might have been the last race of this season, and Corey stepped out and gave him a nice slap on the backside and cheered him on. So it was great, and he loved it. You could just see his face light up as we went by. So that's what I think it's about. Everyone's cheering each other on. So that's really an awesome story, I think.
Definitely.
Now, we talked earlier about the series a little bit and what that looks like. Talk to us a little bit about how that series, what goes into deciding who the series winner is through that, and that piece of it. And if you're lucky enough, you can get a second place plate just like this. That would be mine from B Group last year. So you guys do some fantastic awards for not only the individual races, but also the series. So if you don't mind talking a little bit about that, Josh.
Yeah. So basically each race is weighted on a point system, and I'm not going to get into what that point system exactly is, because I think we've had some good feedback and we're going to be refining that a little bit. But basically the points are stair step down for each race, starting with a number of points that the first place rider in each race achieves, going down to the 10th place in the race. And so we catalog those for each race, and the highest point total at the end of each race is the winner for the entire series. We've tried to do, like the plate that you have in the back there, is our objective has been to try to highlight. So Luke Bott from Luke Bott Designs, he was the guy that did our logo for us. I'd known him in a prior life through advertising agency work, and great logo guy. So I called him up and I said, hey man, I have no money and I've got a vision, and will you jump on board and make this logo for me? And he was like, yeah, dude, I'll make it, and I'll make it kick ass. And I was like, sweet. So we ended up with this awesome logo. And then the first year that we did it, we gave out prints that he designed for us for each of the places. And so there's some people with those original prints still running around out there. And then it kind of from there evolved. And so Byron, the Loibel brothers, our family, made all of our awards in the years past, up until the plate that you have is made by another local artist, Dan Geegan, and he does a lot of pottery work and clay work. And so it's always been either metalworking or kind of the pottery and clay, or the design and layout. But we've always made it our objective to make everything that we give out award-wise unique and local. Those have been two of the things that we've wanted to hit on, is focusing on those folks.
You guys really do a lot to really bring in the whole community all the way down to the awards. So that's pretty exciting. I didn't know that backstory there. So when do you have your events? I know you've got them in March and April. And
Yep.
then talk to us a little bit about where we can get registered to come down to Wichita and enjoy it.
Yeah, sure. So we've kind of bounced around, but I think last year we just decided that we're going to put it on 2 weekends in March and April, and we're going to stick to them. And so the first and third weekend of March and the first and third weekend of April on the calendar moving forward will be where our events kind of reside from here on out. So those 4 weekends, first and third, March and April, is what you've got to remember if you're putting it on a calendar. And then if you search up RATC on bikereg.com, you can find our events. You can register for each of the events individually, or if you want to come down and race the series, we've got the series sign up as well. So you can check that out on Bike Reg. You can also, if you like us, follow us on Facebook. We post all of that information on Facebook as well, and you can find those links out on our Facebook page.
Okay. And I'll make sure to do a link in the description down below for not only Bike Reg to sign up, but also to their Facebook page. But definitely give them a follow. That will keep you updated as to what's going on. They do a great job of communicating leading into the event. So that should really help out with that. None of these events can go on without the support and the help of not only the local community, but of sponsors. And you've mentioned a couple of your sponsors, but do you mind sharing a little bit about who some of your other sponsors are and give them some shout outs? Sure.
Yeah. So like I said, event-wise, You Hungry Food Truck, Stearman Field Bar and Grill out of Benton, Kansas, Boudreaux Burger Barn out of Peck, Kansas. Even though we're not holding the event there, Cheney Lake Association and Cheney Lake, it's a great place down here for kind of that lake recreational vibe experience. So I don't want to leave them out because they've been, pretty supportive of us through the years. Chamois Butter was there day one as well. We love those guys, and they've always been great and stepped up to the plate to support us anytime we've asked. Tasco Gloves is another one. They do a great job for us, always send down a bunch of goodies, as well as Kona, Trek. They've always been great. And then one of the things that's almost kind of become, mythical is there's a local salsa company here in Wichita called Homes Made Salsa. And we're not giving out bottles of wine at our races for the podium, but you will go home with either some spicy pickles or some salsa. So they've been with us day one as well, and they kind of have been great supporters of ours. And then a really good friend of mine down here last year, he threw in the chimenea for the series. Marty Johnson, Johnson's Garden Center. They're great. That guy, when he comes out, is always a lot of fun to visit with. He's done, I don't know how many Tour Divides now. He's done the Tour de Baja. So he's a lot of fun and always been very supportive of us. And then last year, we also had Kuat Racks come on board. So gave away one of their bike racks at the end of the series. So big thank you to all those guys. I'm sure I've missed some through the years. And, Mark's always managed to throw some great stuff in there too. So can't thank all those guys and their support enough. Why don't you go ahead and give a shout out there to Apostle Bike? Where are they located at in Wichita? So if people are down on before the event and they need something, they know where to go. Yeah, Mark's on the west side of Wichita, 21st and Tyler. He's in a strip mall there. He's got a great little shop. The vibes are awesome. Dudes just go in there and hang out. And it's always good just to be in there. Mark's so helpful. Guys in there will always give you their opinion of what they think you ought to be running tire-wise or buying or anything else. So it's always interesting and always a good time to go in there. I'd say Mark runs the shop, and the camaraderie there is a lot like the camaraderie at the races. Just a bunch of guys or ladies in there wanting to have a good time and kind of shoot the stuff and enjoy themselves. And, Jeff, I'm going to take a quick moment to give a shout out. One of the guys that I know everybody's missed seeing in there, and leave this part in. I'm going to tag his wife when you post the video. But Wes Jenkins, buddy, we love you. We all care about you. The cycling community is behind you 100%. And bro, we love seeing you out there. I saw you on your trike the other day, pedaling along, and man, I hope you just continue to progress and feel better. And we miss seeing you around, brother.
We'll definitely send out some good vibes to Wes, and hopefully we'll see him out there pedaling around. So appreciate it. Anything else you want to say before we let you go?
Not that I can think of, man. It's always good to see your face, obviously. I appreciate the friendship that's grown between you and I through all this. So, when you send me the email, I was always, ready to jump on and visit with you.
No, definitely. I appreciate you coming on. Remember, folks, you want to sign up early. There's no day of registration. They're doing a very good job at keeping protection for the time we're in right now. And so they've managed it very well in 2020, and so chose not to have day of registration, and completely respect that and appreciate everything you guys are doing to allow us to race these days. So thanks again. Please tell Mark thanks for the opportunity to talk with you guys today, and we'll see what we can do about getting some folks down there registered and enjoying the time.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it again. Hey, one more thing real quick. February 15th is the cutoff day to register if you want a t-shirt. So make sure that you register by February 15th. But other than that, man, we can't wait to see everybody out there.
Thanks again for watching. If you liked what you saw, hit the subscribe button so you get notified anytime we post a video. Take a look at some of the other events we've had here on the Grassroots Gravel Event series. Find a local event for yourself, get out there, ride your bike, and we'll see you at the races.